Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. My name is Ratri Duning Tias Malik. My NPM number is 20060016. I'm from English Department Major in Riau Kepulauan University. I'm here to present to you all my presentation about Unit 6 from the reading subject. The title is It's a Mystery. As you can see, there's four pictures. The first one is crop circles, a Bigfoot, Bermuda Triangle, and Loch Ness. These four these four pictures is unknown to the world. Whether they are real or not, we do not know for sure. We're still unsure. Even the scientists and researchers. Chapter 1: The Lost World of South America. Before you read Mount Meru. In 2005, scientists using Google Earth, an online map, found a new forest on top of the little-known Mount Mabu in Mozambique, Africa. It was unknown to the rest of the world, and it didn't even appear on local maps. When they explored the forest in 2008, they found hundreds of new or rare species of wildlife. It turns out villagers in the area had kept the forest a secret so they could hide there in times of war. A. Read the information above, then answer the following questions. 1. Do you think there are still places in the world humans have yet to discover or fully explore? Why and why not? My answer for the first question is yes. There are still places in the world humans have yet to discover and fully explore. For example, the sea. Human or people only discover 5% of the sea, and it's still on Earth. Then out of the Earth. For example, a planet, different planet from the Earth. A human or scientists or researchers more know more about what's on out of the Earth than what's within the Earth, something like that. And for number 2, would you want to visit such places? Why or why not? My answer is yes and no, because why you want to visit such places, because if it's beautiful and safe place, I would like to visit it. But if the place is dangerous and so remote that people hard to reach, I rather not. Reading skills, making inferences. Skim the passage on the next page, then choose the best answer for the following questions. You have to infer or guess information. The Lost World of South America. The war is far less a mystery than it was a century ago, but it still holds a few locations that baffle scientists and researchers. Early explorers spoke of mysterious mountains towering above South America's jungle. Such story inspired Arthur Conan Doyle to write The Lost World, a novel set in an isolated place still inhabited by dinosaurs. The dinosaurs were fiction, but the mountains are real. The mountains are called Tapuis, or House of the Gods, in the language of the Lakopemen. Rising thousands of meters into the sky over the jungles of Guyana, Brazil, and Venezuela, these are dramatic sandstone structures called mesas by geologists, with flat tops and steep sides. Tapuis are so remote that they have prevented researchers from exploring them fully. They truly are among the last unexplored places on Earth. The flat summits, ranging from a few square kilometers to dozens and even hundreds of square kilometers, used to be connected. Some scientists even believe that these tapuis have life forms formed from the ancient supercontinent known as Gondwana, which may have included what we know today as South America, Africa, Antarctica, Australia, and other land masses. A few people have been there, but really not a lot, considering what they are among the oldest formations in the world. Jesus Rivas, a biology professor, said, "They are like places where time stopped. In the fauna, you can see South America evolving for the last 300 million years. The high altitude and the ancient age of the tapirs make them extremely interesting for two biologists. They are frequently described as islands in the sky, covered in tropical greenery that supports a wide range of wildlife. Indeed, many of the species that live on top of the tapirs are found nowhere else on the planet. But because they are so hard to reach, scientists have only begun to scratch the surface of the enormous diversity on and around the tapirs. One question still mystifies scientists. How did animals and plants end up in such an inaccessible place? Some scientists believe in the lost world theory that these creatures have been living there since the tapirs were born. But in a paper published in the journal Evolution, studies on three frogs exclusive to these tapirs showed that they had climbed up slowly over a few million years. Unfortunately, until further studies are conducted, scientists can only speculate. People who want to visit these tapirs can arrange special tours, but it will require enormous effort to get there. To make a comparison, Angel Falls in Venezuela, the tallest waterfall in the world, is probably the most popular tourist destination in the Tapirs region. However, the base of the falls can only be reached after flying into the jungle and hiking for hours. When the creators of Up, a movie which featured the tapirs, visited to get a feel of the place, they chose Roraima, the easiest of the tapirs to climb. Bob Peterson, one of the climbers, said, "It was like a worst nightmare. It was like a 6 or 7 hours climb to the top, and I had on way too much gear. When we got to the top, we had to hike across uneven terrain for another hour and a half. It was already dark when we got to our camp, and suddenly, from out of the darkness, we saw this cave lit by candles, and there was a warm soup waiting for us. When we saw our tents, most of us just sat down and started crying. We were so happy to be there." We go back to the previous question. Number one, the world is far less a mystery than it was century ago. Line one suggests that, and the meaning, and my answer is C. The world is more a mystery today than ever before. Second, a few people have been there, but really not a lot, considering they are what they are among the oldest formation in the world. Line 21 to 23. Jesus Rivas, a biology professor, think not many people have actually visited Tapiz because of remote places, destination to go. Number three, Angel Falls is mentioned in paragraph 6 because it A is the only place you can visit in that region, means region, the Tapiz region. Okay, for the next question. A, choose the correct answer for the following question. Number one, why is there still not much known about the Tapiz? My answer is B, they are too remote for people to explore. Number two, according to the passage, which is true about Gondwana? A, it has broken up into other smaller continents. For number three, tapirs are described as island in the sky because, like islands, they are surrounded by water. In my opinion, C. Number four, which is probably not true about the life forms on the tapirs. I think my answer is A, some originated from the best of the tapirs. For number five, what is the main idea of paragraph 5? For paragraph 5, the answer is C. Scientists are still unsure as to how wildlife ended up on the tapirs. For the next question, choose the correct answer for the following questions. 1. A fictional story, meaning B is made up. Number 2, which is more remote? B, a tent in the desert. Number 3, what does it mean to be at the summit of one's career? My answer is, I think, A, you are at your most successful. I think. Number 4, you can use altitude to measure A, how high an airplane flies in the sky. 5, a baffling illness is B, difficult for doctors to treat. Number 6, what would cause a place to be more inaccessible? I think the answer is B, the only bridge to it is destroyed. Number 7, students are likely to learn about terrain in B, geography class. Number 8, if people speculate that the price of oil will rise, they A, think it might rise because they only speculate. Okay, here are some common prefixes used in the root spec or spec. Match the prefix with its correct meaning. You may use your dictionary to help you. Okay, for number 1 is X, meaning X mean out, see, out or away. Number 2, in is F, into. Number 3, intro. Intro is E, within. Number 4, pro is for B, forward. Number 5, retro, meaning the meaning is retro D, back or backwards. And for number 6 is A, below or under. Complete the following sentences with the correct word from the box. 1. The police suspect Angela stole the money, but they cannot prove it. Number 2, we expect the plane will arrive on time. It's scheduled to come in at 3 this afternoon. Expect. Number 3, Ricardo got married at age 20, but in introspective, meaning what he think in the future. So the answer is introspective. He think he should have waited until he was older. Number 4, Carmen has 2 prospective buyers for her painting. She feels certain that at least one will purchase some of her work. Number 5 is her retrospect essay about the death of her mother touched me greatly because it's already happened. So it retro is connected to something in the past. Number 6, when I arrived in London, the customs official opened my bags to inspect the content, meaning looking something suspicious. Okay, I think that's all for my first presentation. I will continue with my second presentation. Okay, we're next with my second presentation, review unit 4. Fluency strategy, thinking actively while reading. In order to become a more fluent reader, remember to follow the 6 points of the active approach before, while, and after we read. See the inside front cover for more information on the active approach. Activate prior knowledge. Before you read, it's important to think about what you already know about the topic and what you want to get out of the text. 8. Look at the passage on page 217. Read only the title and look at the pictures. What do you think the article is about? What is homeschooling? Why might it be a better way to learn? B. Now read the first paragraph of the passage. What is the public education system like in your country? How did people used to be educated? Can you think of any countries while it, its people may not have faith in the public education system? Discuss with your partner. Cultivate vocabulary. As you read, you may come across unknown word. Remember, you need to understand all the words to understand the meaning of the passage. Skim the unknown words for now, or guess at the word at their meaning and come back to them later. Note useful new vocabulary in your vocabulary notebook. See page 6 for more advice on vocabulary. Think about meaning. As you read, think about what you can infer or read between the lines, such as about the author intention, altitude, and purpose writing. Skim the passage by reading the first and last paragraphs and the first line of the other paragraphs. Then discuss this question with a partner. Who do you think the article was written by? Who do you think will be interested in this article? Why do you think the writer is interested in this topic? What does the author mean by mainstream education system? What do you think practices homeschooling? Increase reading fluency. To increase your reading fluency, it's important to monitor your own reading habits as you read. Look again at tips on page 8. As you read, follow these tips. Homeschooling, a better way to learn. It is easy to forget that public education is a relatively new phenomenon, even in the US, which has a relatively developed education system. Public school only started flourishing in the early 19th century. Before that, while the affluent were able to hire tutors for their children, most education of children took place within the family and the community. Some people are now going back to teaching children themselves or hiring tutors, especially in countries where the mainstream education system is considered poor. The laws regarding homeschooling can be complex and vary widely from country to country. In some countries, such as French, England, Indonesia, and the United States, homeschooling is permitted by law. In other countries like Japan or Spain, laws are not so clear. Homeschooling goes on but isn't formally permitted by existing laws. Other countries, including Germany and Brazil, ban homeschooling altogether. At one time, there was a stigma associated with homeschooling because it was traditionally for students who had behavioral of learning difficulties and could not keep up with the rest of the class. Today, there are many compelling arguments for educating one's children at home. Some of it stems from dissatisfaction with the mainstream education system. Teacher shortage and lack of funding mean that in many schools, one teacher is responsible for 30 or 40 pupils. Children are often deprived of the attention they need. Bullying and increasing classroom violence have also motivated some parents to remove their children from school. Parents may also choose to homeschool for religious or political reasons. Many, many psychologists see the home as the most natural learning environment since it is supportive and has no distraction. Parents who homeschool say they can monitor their children's education more closely. Children can also choose what and when to study, thus enabling them to learn at their own pace. The many educational resources on the internet can also be used to supplement learning. Advocates of homeschooling point out that homeschooled children do just as well or better than those who were classroom taught and a striking number gain admission to prestigious university. In contrast, critics of homeschooling say that children miss out on learning important social skills because they have little interaction with their peers. These might have a negative effect on them later in life when they go to the university or start work. Critics have also raised concern about whether parents are capable of educating their children properly. Many of these parents lack teacher training and may not be competent or up to date on all the subjects taught in schools. In the US, with an increasing number of parents taking their children out of class, school officials are looking for ways to restore parents' confidence in the public education system. Some American high schools have opened their doors to homeschoolers on a part-time basis, allowing these children to attend classes once or twice a week, or to take part in activities such as playing football or doing ballet. This enables homeschooled children to enjoy the extra benefits of peer interaction and involvement in sports or clubs. Whether the arguments for or against homeschooling is a growing trend. There are now websites and support groups that help parents to assert their rights and enable them to learn more about educating their children. Once the last resort for troubled children, homeschooling is now embraced as an accepted alternative to the public educational system. Verify strategy. To build your reading fluency, it's important to be aware of how you use strategy to read and to consider how successfully you are using them. Use the question in the self-check on page 220 to think about your use of reading strategies. Check how well you understood the passage by answering the following questions. Number one, the author wrote this passage in order to, I think it's the answer is C, discuss the growing trend of homeschooling. Number two, up until about 200 years ago, there was no, in my opinion, I think the answer is the D, public school system. And community learning between those two. Number three, in which country will parents find the most support for homeschooling? The answer is A, England, which is not a problem mentioned in the passage regarding the public school system. The answer is D, concern about their child's safety. Number five, which is most likely to be true about homeschooled children? The answer is B, they are better prepared for life outside the home. Number six, what is the main idea of paragraph 6? The answer is A, schools in the US are trying to adapt to this growing trend of homeschooling. By opening their school and allow homeschool children to take part in clubs or activity or extracurriculars in school. Number seven, what does the author mean what he says about homeschooling was once the last resort in line 53? That means the answer is A. It used to be mainly for children with learning difficulties because it was the place I think homeschooling is used to be the last place to take children with some bad behavioral or difficulties. Okay, I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry if there's mistaken words I've been spoke this whole presentation. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.